I'd like to try to get off the front page here, so that we'll have something to do next time. Great.
Oh, I just, on page number 6, where it says property owner resides on subject parcel or adjacent parcel. I know there's been times, we have a number of farms. We don't live on every farm we farm, but we still value every farm we farm. And so I don't know that that really serves any purpose, or maybe someone could explain why that serves a purpose. There was a time when we didn't have a family member live on a Olympia farm for years, but we still ran that as a retail operation. But that's not the case today. But so I don't know what purpose that would serve to improve farming or I'm not sure what that is. I would just suggest that just be taken off.
Well, and I see your point, but let me just throw something else out. I mean, you're local. You know, there's no doubt about it. You're here. But what if someone from, I'm going to pick on California, wants to come in and, you know, bring their own type of farming to Thurston County that's not based locally. That doesn't make any sense.
I don't think that would matter.
Well, this
they're still farmers.
We're still doing something for the community.
I used to sell Christmas trees in California.
Oh, okay.
This
So
is
For years, so I've gone both
then?
ways.
Okay.
I've taken a lot of money from there and brought it back here.
Then maybe I shouldn't pick on
This is for
California.
development. This is not for farming. This is for development. So
He's correct, though. There's farms over in eastern Washington that have huge tracts of land in different areas, and then they choose a specific one because of its location to have their corn maze or their whatever. Or their pumpkin patch. Carpenitos up in Kent, it's the same thing. He has a pumpkin patch and corn maze totally separate on a different tract of land than the one that he usually retails off of, and he uses that specifically for his pumpkin patch because of its location. And he doesn't reside on that. It doesn't really make sense. Like, you should have to live on that piece of property.
I think the reason that this is in a lot of similar ordinances is to keep an eye on the customers, make sure they're not wandering on the farm unattended and hurting themselves or
So that liability issue for us to, as the owner, to have to, I mean, your guys aren't going to have a problem if someone breaks their leg.
That's an operational.
Yeah, that's not
I don't mean just criticize, but
No,
it just
that's
doesn't make
okay.
sense.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Well,
So this-
but again, this has to do with development, and we're talking about a whole district.
Okay, we're going to take it
In
out.
some cases, you're going to have zones within the district where that's allowed. And in other cases, you're going to have zones within the district where that's not appropriate. Now, this is not to say that
Where what's not appropriate.
where whatever it is that somebody wants to do is not appropriate in that particular zone.
But what's that have to do with someone living there?
It may. But again, what I'm saying is that these are regulations that are meant to apply to the whole region and not to so that would override things that are within the region. And so from a
This sounds like a regulation, though. I thought the idea is to make it easier. To tell somebody that they can't have something on this one particular piece of property because they don't live there, it doesn't make it easier. It makes it more difficult.
But that's something that may or may not be appropriate for a particular place. And that's all I'm saying, is that it needs to be looked at on a broader scale when you're doing the entire region, whether you apply a particular thing to the entire region or whether you apply it to zones within the region. This one says that for this kind of development, that if the owner lives on the property, he can do this kind of development without further regulation. And in other areas, in other zones, it may be that further regulation is needed before something like this happens. It's just it's a very basic planning tool to be able to say that, well, there's an example in here. There's an R, I think it's an RL1 that they have up on the first page, RL2I. For some reason, that was treated differently than the other zones. I don't know why it was treated differently, but there was, at some point in time, there was a different reason for that. And these things need to be looked at carefully. They don't, you can't just say that because so-and-so has something that he does on a different piece of property that he lives on, that that's okay for everybody to do that.
Well, if it's growing something that's agriculture, and this is saying that it is okay.
No, it's
That's
not.
one of the approved things right here.
It's not saying that it is growing something. It says development, and that's what this,
Talking about
this
development.
overall.
Okay, there's a couple of questions and comments. Debbie, and then I forget your name, George.
You can let him go first.
Huh? Oh, then
So an
George.
example that kind of flies in the face of Spooner Farms, for example. That's a
Okay.
prime example of someone that has a developed space in Thurston County and they don't live there. And
Okay.
that's somebody who's paid taxes in this county for probably more years than we've been voting. Spooners has been here for a generation.
Yeah, right.
But under this definition, that's a gray area under this definition.
Okay.
Yeah, my
That's a
only
fine.
observation was that if you have if you want to develop land into agriculture, you have a plot of land that has not been agriculture, somebody that's a little newlywed buys that plot of land, they don't have the wherewithal to put a house on it yet they want to develop that as agricultural property and have a little stand out there and sell their produce.
But that's not what we're talking.
You're restricting them from not doing it. Yes, you
No,
are. That's
no,
what we're talking
no,
about.
what we're saying
It says
here-
right here they cannot have it if they do not reside
That's not
on
what
it.
it says. It says that if you're going to develop the
That's what it
property, and
says.
development means
No,
not to
honey,
put a
I'm not
farm
talking
stand
about
on it.
development. It
Development
says right
means-
here, living on.
Okay, stop just a second here. Paul, what page are you on and what number are
Okay,
you
I'm
talking
looking at
about?
030, which is it's on
What
page
page?
5, and it's the top of page 5. All of these things, 1 through
No, okay.
10, all refer back to this, the development standards for the ODOT.
Okay,
Shall
so
be as
Debbie,
follows.
what particular number are you talking about?
We're
Page
talking
6,
about numbers.
number 9.
Left them behind yet.
Why don't we just take number 9 out? I think we have pretty much general agreement that we take that out and not worry about it.
You bring up a point, but
Yeah.
what is development standards for agricultural AOD? What is AOD?
That's the agricultural
Overlay
Overlay district.
What are the standards for it?
Yeah, why are we talking about development standards?
They're listed there.
All of a sudden,
It's
was
hard to
understanding
read.
his point, and now I'm all of a sudden trying to read what.
Well, you have to go back to the definition of development, which is, I think, where's your definition of development?
So within that district, if I understand you right, if you were putting in a new agritourism use within that district, then you would be following all the standards. Is that?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Does that mean only if you don't want to have to go get a permit? Is that what this is saying? That if
Well, the
you don't,
standards would apply to people that don't need a permit and people that want to do something larger scale.
I
think
stayed
that's
with
where the-
number 9 the way I said it. It should be.
Yeah, I agree. I think we have general agreement to take it off. That's progress.
My name is Glen Morgan, and I live between Tenino and Rochester, and I'm on the board of the Thurston County Farm Bureau, as well as project manager for Stop Taking on Property, Thurston County. And I had a couple comments here. One I wanted to talk about was the agritourism ordinance that we're going to be talking about. You guys will be talking about a little bit today. On page 17, section 11, I have a lot of concern about that section. By itself doesn't seem like it's much, but I really see that it's more of an illustration of why the general public sometimes gets this feeling where they don't trust Thurston County, and that there appears to be things going on behind closed doors. And I want to use this as an example, and unfortunately it greatly encourages the sense that both concerned, involved citizens as well as stakeholders, that their input is ignored. And the reason why I want to talk about that one is that at the last work session that we had, Hunter's Tree Farm, Latin Cider Mill, Shelters Farm, everybody spoke about that section and said that it wasn't going to be conducive for agritourism businesses. And in fact, Commissioner Romero said 3 times on video to remove that section from this ordinance. And the only person who said that that should be included in the ordinance was Paul Donahue, who's a planner from Tenino. And I'm really concerned when I see this, what appears at very clear direction, unambiguous direction from the Commissioner, that should be stricken from the ordinance, that it was put back into the ordinance, or never stricken at all. And it greatly encourages the sense that, that who is actually running Thurston County and who is making the decisions here. And, well, I met with Romero and Commissioner Romero and Valenzuela last week, and we certainly don't agree on everything. But I'd say that if there's at least one thing we could agree on is that the commissioners, as the elected officials, should probably be the people who are ultimately responsible for that. And that piece was very explicitly stricken from this ordinance by Sandra Romero, and certainly all the stakeholders that were involved in that meeting.
Glenn, what are you referring to? Which part?
Page 17, section 11, which is the residency requirement for an agritourism business.
Okay.
And so that's really the big, by itself it doesn't seem like it's much, but it's more of it illustrating an example. And that I find pretty concerning. I know, Scott, you were there in that meeting. So that was, what happens is people come to these meetings and then they feel like that they're being completely ignored. And worse than that, when the commissioners are also being ignored, that's really a more concerning problem. The second issue I wanted to talk about just had to do really more with just staff as far as working together maybe to find a new venue for the public hearing on the Prairie ordinance, because I know that as a venue this isn't going to be large enough to handle at least the people that we know of that will be coming to attend that public hearing. So I think, Andrew, I'm not sure if you were the appropriate person for me to send that to. I emailed you, but I don't know if you are. So
we're working on it.
Oh, okay. So, and that was it. Those are the 2 main comments. How did I do on time? Way over? All right. Thank you. Thank you very much.